to day 5 of our DIY fasting mimicking diet, and now we're going to do dinner. So today I actually ventured out into the wild. This week I've been staying at home and very close to home, but today was a day of running around and an actual in-person meeting, which is quite rare for me these days, but it was nice. Anyway, so it's dinner time. I did go to the grocery store because I had mentioned that my blueberries were not amazing. So I went to Whole Paycheck, got some nice, gorgeous, chunky blueberries. That looks great. And again, we've been talking about a lot of variation and flexibility in the DIY menu, which is so true. So we also have raspberries, and they smell so good. So for tomorrow, because I've already had my snack, tomorrow I'm going to do a mix of these guys, and it's going to be very exciting. We also got some other fruit for the rest of the fam, papaya, orange, and when you break your fast, I mean, load up on these. Load up on these. I cannot wait to eat that. I mean, I don't know why these look so good, but they look delicious. I love the easy peel part. And then, of course, we have our watermelon because we are obsessed with watermelon. We love our watermelon. So, okay, so that is for my refeed and for the fam right now. Got my drink handy. Man, the drinks really came in handy today because I was suffering. So, for dinner, we have our menu. We have a free DIY fasting mimicking diet menu, a guide. It also gives you instructions on how to customize it using a free tool called Chronometer. And for dinner, we have broccoli, brown rice, butternut squash, carrots, garlic, mushrooms, and zucchini. And then for a dessert, we have sweet potato, 50 grams of sweet potato. And so I recommend, but just to clarify, even though this is flexible, there are certain things that you don't want to muck with too much. And that is all of the carb heavy items on our menu. So for breakfast, nothing is super carb heavy. For lunch, the only thing that is like super carby is corn. And that's it. So don't go over the corn. That's 30 grams of corn. And for snack, it's nothing carby. But then for the dinner, and then of course the dessert is sweet potato. So that's like a real starch. And then for the dinner, we have brown rice and butternut squash. And then carrot is technically a starch and will have a higher level of carb content. So I'm going to count that as 3. And then we have garlic. Nope. Mushrooms, zucchini. No, not really starchy. Zucchini is technically a starch, but the carb level is not super high. But if you want to be super careful, which I would recommend you do if you really want to get into a true fasted state and have your ketones be in a moderate range, then you can count all 4. So brown rice, butternut squash, carrots, and zucchini, especially with the brown rice and the butternut squash, because those are very starchy vegetables and plants. For one of our fasters, she did not do the butternut squash, 50 grams of it, and in fact added just 50 grams, subbed 50 grams of more sweet potato as opposed to 50 grams of butternut squash. And she has not been able to hit as high ketones as she normally does. And so we have to be careful and we have to know our food. So sweet potato, because it's got a higher carb content, replacing that with butternut squash is not going to get us into high level of ketone bodies. So we want to be careful, okay? I'm going to make some hacks for this dinner. I wasn't inspired by the mushrooms that I had in my fridge, so I'll cook them up for maybe my husband. So we've got our baby bellas, creminis. That's what's on the menu, but any mushrooms will do. And I'm not going to punch shiitake mushrooms into Chronometer and see what the differences are because they will be negligible. And so I really felt like having some fancy shrooms because I love mushrooms, especially shiitakes, and these look delightful. So shiitake mushrooms, it is for tonight's dinner. I can't wait. And so there's 40 grams of that. I will measure out 40 grams of that. Now, I'm going to make a big hack. I'm not going to do butternut squash tonight. And instead, so butternut squash is 50 grams. Instead, I'm going to do not even 50 grams of kimchi, but I have this kind of a kimchi. This is a radish, and it is real spicy. There might be a little bit of sugar included in this. So we have to make sure that there's no added sugar in our plan. But while I say that, I'm telling you, I'm going to have some of this tonight. So I'm not going to sub. So if there's 50 grams of butternut squash on our dinner menu, I'm not going to do 50 grams of this kimchi. I just make sure that I don't exceed the 50 grams. So that's my easy swap. So I'm probably going to do more like 10, 15 grams of this kimchi. It's going to be very powerful because in a fasted state, especially since we've just been eating like vegetables, mostly raw this week, our palate has already changed. So things are it's more sensitive. My sense of smell is like super heightened. We went to Whole Foods, and as soon as I walked into the veg section, all I could smell was cheese. And they have like a tiny little section of Parmesan cheese, and woo, it was powerful. So anyway, a little bit is going to go a long way, is my point. All right, so that's that. Instead of like raw garlic that I typically use to just like saute everything together or just blend within a soup and cook everything together, I have another Korean banchan, and this is pickled garlic in vinegar. So vinegar, really almost no calories, carbs. No. We don't have to worry about vinegar. So I'm going to do this garlic instead. 10 grams. Yes, 10 grams of garlic. So 10 grams of this, I will measure that out and not exceed my garlic intake. And, you know, if you talk to like the Prolon people, of course, they're going to be like, no, there's only a certain amount of acid, even lemon juice that you can add onto your food every single day. This is our DIY version. This is not the fasting mimicking diet, like officially, but we're just going by the science of it in terms of using the exact macronutrient breakdown every single day. All right, so that's our dinner. And then I got a question today in our group call about resistant starch. These are Korean sweet potatoes that I've air fried last night. I threw them in the fridge. They smell so good. So this is our dessert. And of course, my dessert is only 50 grams of this. So it's like a tiny portion of the end of this. You can eat the skins on if you want, but I typically just go for the inside. I will heat these up before I eat them, or my little 50 grams. So the question was, should you prepare your sweet potatoes, i.e. cook them, pop them in the fridge, and then eat them the next day? Because of course, refrigerating them overnight, potatoes and sweet potatoes will increase the resistant starch in them. Resistant starch is so key for our gut health and does 1,000,001 amazing things, like create short chain fatty acids. And those short chain fatty acids, I'm telling you, especially if you have like skin problems, we're going to really need those. Anyway, so my answer was no. Like, we're already doing so much. If you want to boost the amount of starch, resistant starch in your 50 grams of sweet potato dessert, by all means do it, but it's not a necessity. Okay, so we're already doing so much. Just be kind to yourself. All right, so and then I've got some broccoli. So that's my dinner shopping haul and my plan for dinner. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to stir fry, because I enjoy stir fry food with my kimchi as opposed to a soup. All right, so the last thing I will share today is that we today talked about leptin. Now, this is Ruby. No, you can't have my mushrooms, Ruby. So today we talked about leptin. And leptin is a hormone that is produced from our fat cells, and it basically tells our brain when we are full and that we can stop eating because we have sufficient energy in our fat cells. It gets mucked up, let's just say, from a number of reasons: unhealthy lifestyle, not moving, tons of stress, not sleeping enough. It's like all the basic stuff, right? Because we're told, eat well, manage your stress, make sure you get enough sleep, and move your dang body, right? And probably do something purposeful in our lives. Then we're super healthy. But leptin gets mucked up when we don't follow all of those rules and maybe kind of abuse one of them really hardcore. It's a hormone. It changes all the time. So there's a concept called leptin resistance. Yeah, it's not just insulin resistance, it's leptin resistance too. So it's very tricky. And I'll tell you my personal experience with this pesky hormone. So one of the major benefits of the fasting mimicking diet, and I suppose any kind of fast, is that everything is like reset. Our taste buds are reset. Dude, we're going to be doing this for 5 days and coming out of it, and everything we eat is going to be so delicious. I typically break my fast on day 6 morning with a banana because I'm just telling you, it's just so good. But my point being, when we eat things, even today, day 4, day 5, day 6, and beyond, when we start eating food, we are going to get full way faster. I just spit. And we're going to, because our leptin is sensitive, i.e., just like insulin sensitivity, that means that it's working, right? It's working as it should. So leptin will also become very sensitive. Leptin levels are dropped when we're in a fasted state. That's completely normal. When I eat food right now, I could just have a little bit, like today, out in the wild. Definitely bring your snack with you. I had half of my blueberries. It's like 20 grams of blueberries. That's literally like just a few blueberries. And I was good. I was good for like half an hour, did some things, came back to the car, shoveled more in my mouth. No, just enjoyed them. And it's just amazing how full we can get. So imagine coming out of your fast and your fullness cues being so on point, i.e., like you don't have to overeat. Your body is signaling very well. Like, so those energy sensors are heightened. And Walter Longo, creator of the fasting mimicking diet, he says that this can last for like 30 days, maybe beyond. So I have found in my personal experience, when I refeed well, and that means really paying attention to that pesky hormone leptin and just paying attention to when I eat, am I satiated? Yes. Can I eat more? Always. Should I eat more? Depends on what's in front of me. If it's something super yummy and I want to finish it all, I might have a few more bites, but I always remind myself I can always just put it away and eat it later. That way, I'm not messing with that leptin hormone. And especially if you are doing this for like health reasons in terms of dropping any excess body weight, that is one of the keys to staying on track and continuing to reap the benefits of a fasting mimicking diet, or again, like any kind of fast. So that is huge, huge. And so, of course, this is my round 19. I have had many rounds, I mean, more than 10 rounds of fasting where I did not refeed well at all. I will go out. There's always seems to be some big event. And I will promise myself, oh, I'm only going to have like 1 glass of wine and mostly whole plants, and then that's it. But then some bread is shown and I just eat it. If I drink, you get a little loosey and you're like, yeah, sure, I'll have just 1 more piece of bread, right? So I'm taking into consideration just going dry for the next 30 days and just seeing what happens there. Totally doable for me. So my point being that when I do that and I'm not refeeding very well, very intentionally, and I'm not setting those rules-ish for an excellent refeed, then the leptin sensitivity starts getting wonky. And so am I leptin resistant? No. But am I creeping up there and getting closer to that space of being leptin resistant? Yes. Yes. My trick, though, is if I have like one rich meal, let's just call it a rich meal. There's wine, maybe there's some oil, maybe there's bread, like things that are more calorie dense and things that are easier to overeat. If I do that, that's fine. The trick to keeping that leptin sensitive for me and my experience so far is the very next meal, I go back to whole plants. Whole plants. They're nutrient dense. There's tons of fiber, tons of antioxidants and nutrients. I mean, I don't have to tell you, you already know this. And I just lay off the packaged stuff. Definitely do not touch junk food at that time. And that's about it. So if you have an event, if you decide, you know what, I'm just going to have this rich meal, then it's not over. Your leptin is still going to work with you. Just get back on track. Versus if I have 2 rich meals in a row, like let's say on Saturday I go out and I have a pretty beefy breakfast, and not beef, but like hefty breakfast, and then a big dinner. Because if I have a big breakfast, I'm going to be stuffed, especially coming out of a fast, and I'm not going to eat until probably dinner. And then if I have 2 big meals like that, all of a sudden, all the weight that I dropped, it's back up. And that's because my body is going to want to get back to where she was on Sunday, my day 0, like right before my fast. So just know that if you have one big meal or one big snack or whatever it is that we do, maybe you're like, nah, screw it, I'm going to go have like a cheeseburger. Okay, then have your cheeseburger. But then the very next meal, make sure that it's just loaded with plants. And then you'll get back on track. Okay, the weight will continue to come off. We're still in high fat burning mode for up to like 30 days. Isn't that insane? And you're no longer weighing food. You're never counting calories. You're not doing any of that stuff, unless that is what is required for you. Unless you really are totally out of touch in terms of what your fullness cues are, and you're used to eating big meals. Like, unless you want to keep it tight and you want just another safety measure, then fine, you can do whatever you want, weigh your food. But I'm just saying, if you're sticking to whole plants and you're laying low on the high fat whole plant foods like the avocados, olives, nuts, seeds, definitely oil. I know that's a processed product, but a lot of vegans will have oil or oil products. So as long as you steer clear of those or minimize them, then you can absolutely remain in high fat burning mode. When I say nuts and seeds, though, let me be clear. That also includes peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, tahini, anything that was made with a nut or seed. Okay. That's not to say that we can't eat any of that. I find that if I have a little bit, like I'm talking a tablespoon or 2, maybe up to 4 tablespoons. It also depends on how much we move. I know I'm making it sound complicated, but it's not. If we stick to whole plant foods, then we're going to be good. So those are the tips that will continue to keep us in a high fat burning mode, to keep leptin working as it should, i.e. being sensitive. And so when we have sufficient food and calories in our system, the brain is told, okay, you can stop eating now. And that is the moment that you can choose, all right, I'm going to stop eating now. You're satiated, you're good, you got your goal in mind, and this is the new normal for you, at least for a month. Just try it for a month. Just try. What can happen? Amazing things can happen. That's what. All right. So with that, I'm going to prep my dinner and then get back to work. And I hope that if you're fasting, it's going exceptionally well. And yeah, don't forget to stay hydrated, get as much sleep as you can, and let your body do what it's doing, which is a massive detox, restoration, healing, all the things.